it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We are zooming in and we are focusing in on the combative narcissist, an individual who presents with an inflated sense of self-importance. Someone who, in order to maintain this self-righteous or grandiose stance, needs to become really somewhat combative, adversarial to those people in their environment in order to get the attention, in order to dominate, in order to control. And that oftentimes is reflected in a narcissist's need to always be right. And because if they are always right, they are always in the winner's box. They are always at the helm. They're always the one who is quote unquote looked up to favorably. So oftentimes they need to be adversarial or in opposition to others in order to put others down just to get themselves to a superior position. So oftentimes they don't present with integrity values. In other words, to bring people into a sense of integrity or a sense of harmony or a sense of congruence with their values. So it's very interesting when you see those who are combative, because oftentimes they're just trying to put others down versus trying to support their own values. They're not really expressing a value position and really kind of attracting other people into their values. They are more combative. They are more adversarial. They're more trying to crush and snuff people out and extinguish them in order for them to be left standing as the one who is right, rather than professing their values or living by their values in a sense of morality or sharing or goodness and just allowing that to have its own life, the life of that value. They need to snub others out. They need to intimidate others. They need to infuriate others. They need to be combative or adversarial. And if we look at the meaning of adverse, adverse, it means to be unfavorable or antagonistic in their purpose or in their effect. So an antagonist is an evildoer, and an antagonist is trying to cause the conflict. They are seeking to cause a problem. So to be adverse also means to oppose one's interests or effects. And adverse also means being or acting in a contrary direction, opposing or opposed. So opposite or confronting. So when we think about this, it's very interesting to notice that oftentimes the narcissist will take an adversarial stance rather than promoting something positive to begin with. So rather than being sharing, open, and interactive in nature, it's adversarial. It's one way and the direction is down, and that is really meant to crush their opposition so they don't have anyone who is, trying to interact with them. So oftentimes people, the narcissist, will be very combative or adversarial, especially those people who present them with a teaching moment or an opportunity for them to learn something about themselves, which they do not want to face. So they are going to not want to be open or receptive to those people who are there to teach them something about them in their life. To teach them about something like positive such as love, to teach them about things such as patience, to teach them other things such as openness or empathy, to teach them lessons of what it is like to walk in another's shoes. So in other words, to teach people about empathy, if you are calling them to require the needs of empathy, or you're putting them in a position where empathy is required and they are not empathetic, they are in turn going to be combative or adversarial because they are not open to that lesson. They are not able to pass that lesson with flying colors. They're not able to perform very well in those areas because a narcissist has an inflated sense of self and a lack of empathy. They have a deficit in that area. They are not able to be empathetic, and so they're not able to share. They're not able to be open. They're not able to resonate. They're not able to relate. They're not able to connect with others on that wavelength, on that emotion. So they are in turn, because they have an empathy deficit, they are going to become combative, adversarial to those people who call forth that lesson, because basically it's a lesson that they're going to fail. It's their shortcoming. And they are going to fail others who need empathy. So they are not able to be great empathetic partners oftentimes because they have a deficit, because of this inadequacy or weakness in them. And we are not here to judge. We're just here to discuss. And so it's very interesting. Also, if you look at the root word of adverse, and if you look at the root word of it, it comes from the Old French and the Middle English, and the 1300s Middle English. In the Old French, adverse, Latin adversius, hostile, and it's equivalent to ad plus vert, which means turn, tus, and past. So in other words, to turn past. So to turn past somebody. So as you can see, here we come the ignoring, the slighting, the snubbing, the disdain, the scorn. It's to treat somebody in this manner. So when we talk about adversaries, this oftentimes a narcissist will present very adversarial or combative in relationships, for especially combative or opposing to those people with whom they cannot express or share empathy. Now, it calls up an inadequacy in them, and so they are reactionary. This is all on a subconscious level to those people. So they are thus always very eager and ready to fight and be pugnacious, be very sort of very aggressive, very antagonistic, oftentimes a lot of negative energy within these people with which they approach the relationship. And so oftentimes people tend to assign the cause of this negative aggression within them when it has everything to do with the other person. It has nothing to do with you. It's like getting a person who is just very upset about their finances, and they are just irate. They're, this is going, and then they're blaming you for their problems, and you have nothing to do with the cause. It's completely unrelated. It's completely disconnected, yet they are looking for someone else to blame because they are so overwhelmed and they can't handle it. So you get these people who are very contentious, very hostile for the fears and stresses that they're having in their life, and they are looking for a blame, basically a landing point for that aggression, and they're just going to target you. And so, early in people's life, they don't know to not accept that negative energy. When people are younger, they're naive. They haven't had these lessons in life yet. They think that they are the root cause of that aggression and that there must be something wrong with them to deserve that treatment. They feel like, well, I must have done something wrong to deserve this. I must not be a good person. This person is assigning a lot of blame, hostility, ignorance, whatever it is that they can, basically slough off onto you, whatever they can basically roll onto you, whatever it is that they can blame or project onto you is really their inadequacy. So there's going to be, it's very, very amazing how very specific and precise and really direct this projection can be. In other words, if a narcissist oftentimes is very self-critical about themselves, yet they will never share an ounce of that information with the world because they are their own harshest critics, yet they always want to have an outward demeanor of perfection, of being the one who's very important, being very perfect. And so this is, this outside appearance is very important to them. The inner life can suffer for all that they care. As long as they're looking good, they can get through life just by looking good. No matter how much they're hurting inside, no matter how much they're hurting others, having that power and dominion over others is what it's all about to them. That is the win-lose proposition with the narcissist. For them to win, others must lose. So it's very, very precise the inadequacy, the inferiority, the insecurity that the narcissist feels within themselves and with which they then cast blame onto others. For example, if the narcissist does not like something like their nose, they will tend to make fun of your nose. If they, are unhappy about something about themselves, the very immediate projection will be precisely onto that quality within you and in your life. See if you can detail that. See if you can find that very specific correlation to the projection of the adversarial narcissist and the insecurity that they're feeling in themselves, but that which they project onto you, which you have nothing to do with the cause. But see if you can see the direct correlation of the negative, antagonistic blame and projection that they have insulted onto you that has nothing to do with reality, but has everything to do with their inferiority or feeling of insecurity within themselves, but that which they have not worked through. It is peace and harmony with you here today, hoping that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.